Hi everyone, this is Anvita Bansal, and today we are going to discuss another problem from SD Sheet. So you guys can access the SD Sheet of Geeks for Geeks right from this link. And the question that we are going to discuss today is reverse array in groups. So if you go on solve, you will be able to see the editor where you can solve the problem, and at view you see the entire description from the problem. And let's go and have a look at this problem. So what you're given an array of positive integers of size n. You need to reverse every sub array group of size k. So you're given an array and an integer k. So what you need to do is here, if you see this first test case, you need to reverse the array in group of 3 because k is 3 here. So what does it mean? That the sub array of the continuous sub arrays of length 3 need to be reversed, right? So you can treat them as another array of this particular size which needs to be reversed, and you know how to reverse an array already. So actually this is a very easy and basic question, but we will see what it's all about mathematics in this question. So let's see how we can solve it. I'll take our test case and show it to you. Have a look here. So let's say you are given an array 1, 2, 3, 4. It need not to be in increasing order. If you're thinking like that, it can be anything. Okay, it can be like this. It's of positive integers, so hardly matters. Then let's take 10 here. Okay, so this is your array. And let's say your k is 3. So you need to reverse this array in size of sub arrays of size 3. And what will it look like? So the output array should look like size 3 of continuous array of continuous elements that will form up a sub array will be this. So if you reverse this array, what will it look like? It will look like 3 to 1. Okay, then what is the other sub array of this size 3? It will be this array, and once you reverse it, what will you find? 0, 5, 4. So this is reversed. This part is after reversing this set of sub array, then this set of, and now you are left with only one element. When there is one element, it doesn't matter whether you reverse it or not, it's the same result. But let's say if we had another test case which did not have just one element after 3, or maybe you can reduce the size, or let's increase the size of k, make it 4. Once you make it 4, when you make it 4, here your k was 3, here your k is 4. How will your resultant array look like? So if you see, this is size k, right? And this is sub array of size 4. So if you reverse it, on reversing, what happens? The elements are swapped. The second half of elements are swapped with the first half of elements. This is in the layman terms. What it actually looks like is you basically swap zeroth index element with the last index element in that sub array. Then this will be reversed with this part of your array. Basically, if you think this, I'm telling in case you don't know how to reverse an array. Okay, this is a very basic thing, so I'm assuming you already would know it, but still those who are doing it for the first time can understand it in this way. You are given an array, let's say 1, 2, 3, and you want to reverse it. So how do you reverse the array? Reversing means the entire order should be reversed. This should look like 3, 2, 1. So you can simply see that if you divide the array into half, right? Just divide the array into half. You just want to swap the elements from this half to that half. That's all you do in the reversal of an array. No matter if it's of an even length or if it's of an odd length. Let's take this example 1, 2, 3, 4. You want to reverse this array. So you simply divide. How we don't literally do the division. We handle this with 2 pointers. We take 2 pointers, one on the left extreme, one on the right extreme. This will be my left pointer, this will be my right pointer, right? And I will run this loop while this function, I'm telling you how to reverse an array, right? So while your left is less than your right element, okay, left index is less than your right index. This is your right index, this is left index. What do you want to do? You swap ARR of left with ARR of right. That's what you do. Okay. And then once swapping is done, here 1, here comes 4. Then you want to swap the other elements of the that are on the either sides of your partition, right? So now you will increment the count of left by 1 and decrement the count of right by 1 and do the same thing again, right? And you will do this until your left index and your right index do not cross each other, right? If I put equal here, what will happen? See, if I put equal here, obviously this condition will not come, because if one more iteration, I do one more iteration, r minus minus will bring r at this index, and l plus plus will bring my l at this index. So now when I try to check the condition, it will fail. But if it was an odd, if it was of an odd length, in that case, if I make it equal, what will happen is in the second iteration, left will also be here and right will also be, and swapping one element of an array with itself doesn't make a difference. That is why you need not put an equal sign here. So that is what you need to understand in swapping. This is very simple. Now coming back to our problem, reverse in groups k, group of k, right? Reverse in group, and the size of group is k here. Okay, so we were talking, if your k is 4, we are trying to solve this test case. So if your k is 4, your resultant array, this is your ARR, your resultant array should look like 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you're left with 3 elements. So understand this thing. If your remaining elements of the array is less than the count of your k, right? If it is less than k, then you don't think about anything. Simply reverse all those remaining elements as well. So on reversing, it will look something like this. Okay, and if it was more than size of k, means if it was more than 4 elements here, then obviously the 4 elements would have reversed. And then maybe if it was not a divisible of 4, if the remaining elements is not a divisible of 4, then we will be left with certain elements, right? We will be left with certain elements that might be less than, not might be, that will be less than k. Okay, I'll explain this thing also. Now in this case, you are left with 3 elements, right? Your k is what? 4. And remaining elements is what? 3. Okay, so in that case, how do you handle the condition that, okay, if my k is incremented and comes at the count where k is always, where the remaining elements are always divisible by k, we simply reverse them. But you need to put a check, if that remaining elements is not the divisible of k, and this check is very easily, it can be put very easily. That's where you need to just think how you can do this thing. First, let's go to the code, try to reverse them, and then we will come back and understand how we have handled cases like this. Okay, so if you have any doubt till here, you can ask in the chat. Okay, so how many questions I will cover? I'll come back to this SD sheet. So if you look at this link, I'll share the link, this link with you all in the chat. So this is the SD sheet. We are going to cover most of the questions from this sheet. Why I'm saying most and not all? Right now, yesterday we started with this question. Today we are solving this one. Tomorrow will be solving this problem, but as soon as we gradually proceed towards solving all the questions, I'm going to omit very easy ones. Like, for example, today's question is very easy, very basic question. So in the coming lectures, we're not going to target very basic ones, although this problem was also asked in Adobe's interview. So we'll be target mostly on medium to hard level questions. Not that I'm not going to solve easy ones, but yeah, that's how we are going to follow this sheet. This is the pattern that we are going to follow. Right now we'll be doing arrays. Tomorrow I'll be solving this problem, convert array into zigzag fashion. Fine. So moving back to this problem, reverse array in groups. Okay, fine. So this is the function where you're given an array list which contains the elements. This is the size of your array, and this is the k, which is the size of the group of elements that you need to reverse. Okay. So let's do one thing. See, you start your iteration from 0th index till the, and the iteration goes till the last element of your array. Hmm, right? And I is incremented by what? By 1 or by the size of k. Let me write this code, then I will come back to each and every line which you will not understand, and we will do a dry run, then you will be able to understand what we have done. Okay, then my intention is to make another function by name of reverse, in which I will be passing arguments which is array, your size of array, then k, and also an index, the index that is I. This is the index that I'm going to pass, and why I'm doing so we will see. Let's write the function void reverse. Okay, so it has an array list of integer, right? There are, then int I, which is your index from where you want to reverse, then you have n, then you have k. Okay, now I want to reverse the array of size k. So I will declare the left element which is pointing to the index I which I am passing, and right element is pointing to, I tell you what, this is how I am going to check that condition when the remaining elements is on the divisible of k. Okay, so understand here, initially I'm passing, let's say, 0th index 0, right? 0 is at this position pointing to element 1. Now k is 3, so tell me the sub array which needs to be reversed. So sub array would be 1 2 3. So where should be the right pointer that will help reverse left element with the right element? So ideally my right pointer should be pointing at this index which contains 3, and that index is what? That index is 2 basically. Let me tell you like this: if left is equal to 0, your right will be, should be 2, because that will contain the sub array of length 3. According to k3 here, your right should be pointing to 2, and 2 is what? So 2, how will you calculate 2? That is simply I plus k minus 1. So if your I was 0, you add k, that is 3, and then you do minus 1, you will reach at the right index of that sub array which you want to swap with the left one. Okay, now why I've done math dot min n minus 1, wait for a moment, let me just complete this code, just a very few lines of code, then I will come back and try it and you'll understand it. Okay, now we want to swap. So while I already told you how to reverse, while left index is less than your right index, okay, you simply take a third variable in temp and you store arr dot get your left index value, right? Understand this thing, this is array list here, not the array, so you need to handle the using the methods of an array list. Okay, so I'm taking this arr dot, then in the left index I want to set the value of the array list present at right index. So arr dot get right. Okay, that's how you handle it. At right index you will give the value present in temp. That's how you will be able to reverse it. Okay, fine. Then L plus plus R minus minus. Let's see first. Int, what have I not passed? Okay, int I, then int k, before that int n. Okay, I n k. What is the issue now? While I explain during typing, I make a lot of typos. So I'll first code and then speak. So have a look here. What have we done here and why have we done this thing entirely? Okay. So this part which you see math dot min n minus 1 I plus k minus 1. Let me come to y. Why have we done this? Can anybody understand this? It's very easy to understand, and if you have already understood, can you write it in the chat? Why have we done this? I've already explained this thing, but let's see it with an example. 1 2 3 4 5. I'll take a bigger example. 6 7 8. Let's say this was your array. Okay, your k is 3, and your left index, you are starting your iteration. See, we started our iteration like this: I0, I goes till n, and I is incremented with value 3 at every step. So initially my I is at 0th index. This is my I. Let me take some other pen. So my I is here. Now I'm passing this in another function reverse. This index I'm passing there, and other parameters are also I'm passing. So what is reverse doing? Reverse is creating two variables: left variable which is pointing to I, and right variable which is pointing to math dot min of that you saw here. This is your right pointer. This is your right pointer. Left pointer is I. So your L is also here, and your right is where? So right is at 0 plus 3 minus 1 at 2th index. Let me write the indices here. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are your indices I. Okay. This is your left pointer and this is your right pointer. And you do the swapping thing. So this will be swapped and your array will look something like this: 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the first iteration. Okay, now your first iteration is done. This first iteration is done. Now I will be at 0 plus 3. So I will be pointing at 3, and this I will be passed to your reverse function. Now I will be 3. In that case, now your third, this is where your I is present, right? This is where your I is present. This is where your left will be present, because left is always pointing, starting with index I. And your right is at I is what? 3 plus 3. K is 3 minus 1. So that will become 5. And this is where your right pointer should be. You are understanding, right? So this is your left pointer. This is your right pointer. Then you again do the reversals and your resultant array will look like this: 6, 5, 4, 7, 8. Right? Now you are left with these two elements. Okay, let's do another iteration. Now again your I is incremented by 3, by length of 3. So earlier it was at third index, now it will be at sixth index. So I is at this index now. Okay, left will also be at this index eventually. Now right is at what index? So right is always checking math dot min n minus 1 in all the cases that we have already solved. I did not look here because obviously your function is calculating, and it was always found that I plus k minus 1 was less than n minus 1. N is what in this case? If you see, n is 8. So 8 minus 1, that is 7. So it always compared this value with 7 and it came out to be less. Now let's see what value it gives. So I is at 6. 6 plus 3 minus 1, that will be 8. So what is the minimum value of 2? This is the last index of your array. That is this index, 7th index. So your right will be pointing at value 8. That is the 7th index value. So this is how we are handling the cases when the remaining elements is less than the k number of elements. So here you are left with only two elements. If we had one more element, let's say 9, then obviously there was no issue and we would have a right pointer at the last index and we would have swapped them. But in those cases when you're left with the elements that is not equal to k and it is less than the value of k, that in those cases you handle this, because we want to swap how many, the all the remaining elements, I mean reverse all the remaining elements. So that is the check that you are putting here to handle this situation. You understood? Now you, once you swap the elements, you will find 8 here, so the resultant array will be 8 will come here and 7 will come here. So if you see, it has been reversed in the order of, in the groups of 3 and the remaining elements in their own way. Okay, so this is all about this problem. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so I'll explain what is arr.set. So arr.set is, if you know array list, so this is an array list method. You have two things, one is array and other one is array list. Both are the data structures, linear data structures to store elements, right? The only difference, the major difference between both data structures is that array is always of fixed size. Whenever you define an array, you always define it with certain number of elements that you want to fill it. It has to be, there has to be certain length of array that you need to define. It cannot be arbitrary. The But in the case of array list, you need not define any length. You need not define any length. You can always add more elements. Let's say if I say int arr equals new int 3. Okay, so this, what I'm defining here is I am basically uh, creating an array of size 3, and obviously initially all the values will be 0. Now if I want to make an array of size 4 and I want to add one more element, can I do something like arr.add for any, let's say value of that element should be 10, and it will add, already my array was something like this, now I want to add 10, so it will become like this? No, it won't become like this. This is the reason when you want to dynamically increase the values or the length of your array, that in that case array fails. So that is where comes array list, and here you need not define any particular length. So array list also comes, now coming on to what is dot set. Array list also comes with certain methods, okay, its own methods that are defined. Once you go through what is array list data structure, try to go and understand what all methods it has. So we have arr.get. So with what is arr.get? Let's say we have an array list which we have defined by the variable name arr. Dot get function does what? Dot get and some index I will provide. It will give me the value which will be stored in that index. How do you access the value present in array at index 0? You do it like this, right? Arr 0. But in case of array list, you make use of this get method and call the function arr by arr.get. And when you give the index value here, it gives you the value present at that index. For example, arr.get1. Okay, now coming on to arr.set. Arr.set needs you to provide the index where you want two arguments. This is index and this is the value. Index is the index at which you want to set this value. So let's say I do arr.set to 10. So what will it do in your array list? In your array list, let's say this was something like this, 5, 1, 30, 4, 50, something like this. This was your array list. Okay. Now when you do arr.set to 10 at second index, this is index 0, this is index 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. At index 2, it will set 10 here. And your 30 will no more be a part of your array list. That's how you do. If I ask you from this arr array list, arr.get 4. So what is your index 4 here? What value it has? 50. So it will return you 50 in that case. So this is about array list. Fine. At line 53. So at line 53, we have done L++ only. Okay, maybe. Okay, you must be telling this when we were coding. Okay, so is that clear to all of you? Then that is about today's question. I hope you have understood this. Try to practice on your own. And then tomorrow we will move to another question I have told you. That's a good one, and that has been also quite frequently asked in interviews. Let's see you all tomorrow. Thank you.